he had a weight problem. I helped him push off 100 pounds in 6 months. And now he's actually the director of that same rehab that we went through together.
Welcome to the Know Your Ship podcast, presented by eHub. I'm your host, Frank Dolce. 1% Fitness Kitchen. This is the founder right here, Robert Molling. Utah native?
Utah native.
Is that correct? Is it Lehigh? Did you grow up in Lehigh?
I grew up in Orem, and then made my way up to Salt Lake, and then came back down to Lehigh because it's just a great place to raise a family.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? How many kids do you have?
5.
5 kids?
Total. Yes.
Man, you're in it. How old are they?
From the age 20 all the way down to 4.
Holy cow. Are you done?
Yes. Yes. I thought I was done. I thought I was done before the last one.
Yeah. And then you weren't.
And I wasn't.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at you like you're super fit and super well spoken, and you run this nice, you have a couple businesses that you're running, and family man, like you probably had no problems in your life growing up. You look like you just have it all. You look like you just have it all figured out.
Yeah, it's a great look, but life was a struggle.
Yeah. And I think that's meaningful, the struggle. If you could enlighten us about that and maybe why it was meaningful and how that's benefited you today and where you are today.
Yeah. So growing up, poverty, in a substance abuse home. Mm-hmm.
Is that both of your parents?
No. So my biological father departed and was kind of around randomly, around the age of 2. And so my mom and then stepfather are who raised me. Mm-hmm. And fast forward, my mom passed away 2019. And that was related to substance abuse. And so for me, I went through the fire, chose wrong friends. And the sad part is once you get put into that bubble or into that world, it's hard to get out.
Yeah.
The system's not created for rehabilitation. It's created to keep people inside of the system to continue to get paychecks.
When you say people continue to get paychecks, are you talking about the industry that is?
Yes.
So they don't. It sounds like there's not a lot of motivation to get people out of the system.
No, it's essentially a number, and if you look at statistics, it's full of a lot of failure and not a lot of success. Mm-hmm. Through the treatment programs I went through, one of the first things they said to you is get a nice suit because you're going to go to a lot of funerals and or court dates. And post-treatment, and obviously there was multiple failures throughout the window of recovery. And by the time I was 21, I had over 22 friends pass away from substance abuse, one of which was my brother.
Had all of these people participated in some sort of treatment?
No. No. So back in the day, treatment wasn't really an option. It was more, hey, we're just going to go put you in a box. You're going to spend time there. And when you get out, you're going to be good. Mm-hmm. But that's not how it worked. For me personally, when I went in, excuse me, when I went in, you want to belong, right? And that's part of life is belonging to some sort of crowd. And so the box that I fit within was within troublemakers, with people that use substance. And that was my identity for a long time. Getting away from that, the thing that helped or kind of helped create the new life was my first time that I went to rehab. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where 1% Fitness was created, was helping others achieve health through food and through fitness. One of my last stays in incarceration, found God, found fitness. God didn't really, I was unsure of my relationship with God. And so the fitness thing, I knew how to do it. I did it well, and I enjoyed doing it. And it was a great release of energy. And I'm a high energy guy. I'm always have to be busy or doing something. And so fitness was amazing for me. It was probably, it would be a fair statement to say it saved my life.
How helpful was the rehab situation? Is that, so I'm just trying to understand how you find your way out of the situation you were in that started. How old are you when you kind of got involved in substance?
12 years old.
Wow. And that was prevalent in the home, like mom, stepdad, everybody kind of engaged.
Yes. Stepdad was more cannabis and not heavy drugs. And then mom was prescription medications.
Oh, gotcha. So was it, I want to get back to the rehab thing, but was it just a matter of all of that stuff was available to you? How did you get started with that?
So it was my escape from my home life. And my older brother, that's the things that he was involved in was, it starts with, the gateway drug where it's cannabis and then alcohol, and then inevitably got deeper. And then I discovered I liked pain pills, and that consumed a large amount of my life.
There's this thought about, I think there's this thought about cannabis as being a very manageable drug. I haven't experienced it. You have. So I want your perspective on the truthfulness of that statement.
I would like to say that it's an internal thing, right? When you go back to humans, we just want to belong to something or some group, have some sort of validation. And that's what I seeked. And that gave me confidence. It gave me power. It gave me friendships. Unfortunately, it came at a cost. And so is it absolutely a gateway? Yes. That's what I first dabbled in because it was the cool thing to do. And it took me away from the environment at home. I didn't have to think about it.
So when did you, or how did you determine or discover that there was something else out there for you? There was a different life out there.
It took till about 28 and being institutionalized over 10 years.
How many times?
Over 30.
In a 10-year period?
Collectively, gotcha. Overall, from 16 to 28.
Okay. 30 times. And when you say 30 times, you're in different types, different institutions, you're in jail, you're in rehab. What does that mean? Just
jails. They call them bookings, or how many times you were checked into that. And it was Utah County Jail. That's pretty much where I spent my 18 to 28, the majority of my time. I would get out and then I would reoffend because I would make friends inside of the institution.
Sure.
And then we'd go hang out after and cause trouble, and then I'd end up right back.
Gotcha. All substance abuse related. Okay. All right. So in this period, you're deep in it. And what was it? What was the inflection point? When did you decide this can't be my life?
So upon my last offense, 2 second-degree felonies, possession with intent to distribute. Because when you're in that world, you have to figure out how to make money, right? And support your habit. And, my now 16-year-old daughter, the mother of that child, was pregnant, and I was facing 2 felonies. And there was a moment, and this is definitely a God thing. There was a moment while I was incarcerated, not knowing my final fate, waiting for sentencing, where I was just like, you know what? This is not my life. I'm living somebody else's life and a slave to a substance. And I committed at that point in time where I'm just like, okay, I'm done. But was it the last time? No. For a large window of time, almost 3.5 years, it was solid. because I was very involved in different Alcoholics Anonymous programs that I found through the rehab center that I went through. Mm-hmm. And so the child and just, I was done living that life, done watching friends die, done, destroying the life, the minimal life that I had.
Yeah. And in the midst of that, you decided, you made the decision. And is that when you talked about it earlier, fitness and God, is that the same time period?
Yes.
Committed to those things, and fitness was meaningful.
Absolutely. When you're in there and there's really not a whole lot to do except read books and try to move your body.
Yeah.
I discovered, I'm like, I love this. This is fun. And then so I was incarcerated and then I went to rehab for almost 90 days. And then from there I went into transitional housing for 18 months. And that 18 months was amazing. Like, one would assume there's a really big, it was called the George House. It was part of the Haven. That was a treatment center I went through, and it was just full of all sober people. And so it was a community, and that's kind of, I liked cooking because one of my first jobs was cooking, and that's one of my love languages.
Cooking.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And so when you say one of your first jobs, like how did that unfold as a cook?
So first job was paper route boy, right? Mm-hmm. And that one, when papers existed. But then I worked at Shoney's restaurant out in Provo. And restaurants are not the best environment to work in, especially when you have substance problems. From my opinion, a good amount of cooks or people in that industry use some sort of substance. And so within my home, because I had departed and was living with my mother, the way that I would help contribute and pay rent was going out and getting a job.
So cook at Shoney's.
Yeah. I have an aversion to grease because that Shoney's was the breakfast buffet. And I used to just cook piles and piles of bacon. And it was so gross.
Well, I mean, I love bacon. I could see how piles and piles of bacon might be overwhelming. So how did that, man, I have so many questions for you. How did that develop into your love language, cooking?
So as a youth, poverty, having to go to the grocery store with food stamps, and this is back 10-speed bicycles, riding with my brother down to Smith's. And my mom was passed out on a couch. Like, she was there, but not really there. And so myself and my brother, a lot of the medical issues came up from when she had my little sister and had a hysterectomy and a bunch of complications. And my stepdad was gone at work. And so to feed the home, I learned how to cook and discovered that I absolutely, like, at that point in time, I complained a lot about it, and I didn't know that it inevitably would be what I actually love doing. But even in my home currently, like, I cook, I like scream at my children to come upstairs and get food as quickly as they can, but they don't listen because hot food's the best food.
Absolutely.
And so it was pointed out to me, it's like, hey, like, I physically feel fulfilled when I'm giving somebody something to consume and nourish their body. And it's weird that that's kind of the lane that I ended up landing in for occupation.
Yeah. So you're cooking for the family. You're cooking for siblings. You're cooking for mom. And did your mom ever get out of that situation, that scenario?
No, it took her multiple rehab visits. And then towards the end of her life, she had about 6 months sober, which was really cool. Typically when something like that gets a hold of you, substance, especially opiates, it is terribly complicated and difficult to get away from it. I think the success rate is around 1 to 2% of people actually stay sober.
Unbelievable. Well, tell me about so your mom went through rehab. You've been through rehab a few times. Tell me about rehab and the effectiveness of being in those scenarios.
The success rate's low, but the people that succeed do fully, right? And me personally, I've had a couple, I don't want to say hiccups, but inability to express my emotions or feelings, and went back to the substance in the past. And each time it comes with a larger cost. When I was younger, it was me, myself, and I didn't have to worry about anybody else. Now that I have other humans and people that rely on me and look up to me, and I also, that's kind of the changing dynamic, is being able to share with my children a healthy version of myself and show them through life, right? Because my biggest thing is, as a kid, I want to prevent them from going through all the same heartache, troubles, all the stuff that I had to go through.
Absolutely.
And so that's my motivating driver right now, is like my kid, my 10-year-old's in baseball, basketball, football, soccer, like every sport, wrestling, he's in it. Because idle hands typically cause trouble. And so my wife, Samantha, is on the same page, where it's like, hey, let's keep him busy, keep him busy, keep him busy. And she's like a saint. Never had substance issues, just a really good human being. And I'm lucky that that's who I get to help guide me and also guide my kids.
Well, I bet that's a fascinating story too. I don't want to get off the rehab thing quite yet, but to end up with someone who's never experienced substance abuse, that's a different world, right? I mean, it's a completely different world. So when you're going through the rehab scenario, how much is it? I mean, I like to say sometimes it's hard to save someone who doesn't want to be saved. And so going through the rehab scenario, is that real? Like, rehab doesn't save you unless you make the decision.
100%.
But it's a meaningful piece of your recovery.
Yes. I would see lots of people come through, and then in a matter of 90 days, I actually watched a person get released and then come back into rehab with a new charge. Wow. However, the ones that succeeded, so Josh Craig, he was one of my first transformations.
What does that mean?
Transformations with the 1% with the food. He kind of motivated me or pushed me to move it forward and pursue 1% as a business. So
gotcha.
He had substance abuse, and his was meth and cocaine. He was also a patient, or he was also in the same rehab as I was. He got out. He had a weight problem. I helped him push off 100 pounds in 6 months. And now he's actually the director of that same rehab that we went through together.
Wow. Okay. So let's start talking about that transition from this very difficult 28 years. And I'm not saying everything has been sunshine since that point, but you've hit this inflection point, and you want to create a new life, or you've determined that you're living the wrong life. The life you're living is not the life you want to live. Okay, so you have a passion for fitness. You have a passion for cooking, for providing meals to others. That's the basis of your company. Is that right?
It is.
And so tell me how this all came about. How did you devise this? And with the help of who were you just talking to us about? Josh?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how did you get started?
So in the rehab, transitional housing, again, it was probably 60-ish men that lived in this complex. It's called the George House. And we'd go to meetings together. We'd go back to the same rehab together, because they also had meetings there. And I would just cook my own meals, right? So nowhere would really hire me because of the felony convictions. Supersonic Car Wash actually gave me an opportunity. I started working for them, best performing sales guy there, and started going through school because it's a state program that pays for schooling. And so started focusing on fitness technician and nutrition over at Salt Lake Community College. And I would come home and I would cook, and like stray cats, all of the other guys would come running down as soon as they would smell the food cooking. Yeah. And so I would just overproduce and make tons of food. And inevitably, Josh, which was one of the first transformation, as I was going through school, he saw me eating one of the meals, and he's like, "Hey, help me out." And I was like, "Sure enough, I absolutely can." And so I started making meals out of that home, and then moved out with a couple of roommates from that same treatment. And as I'm going through school, I was actually in my barber's chair, getting my hair cut. When one of my personal training clients came in and saw me eating one of my meals, and he said, "Hey, cook that for me." And my response was, "Yeah, I will, if you buy my food." And so it started as like a side hustle from my home, and I operated out of there for about 6 months. I'd have people coming over. We'd do skin fold calipers. And in the beginning, it was not just the food. It was, here's a training program. I'm going to track your progress. So the whole shebang.
Yeah.
And I had a ton of success with, the gentleman's name is Arthur. He had amazing success. And so his whole office just jumped on meal plans.
Really?
And
so you started, did you have an official business at that point, or that people were just like, "Hey, can you cook us some meals?"
Yeah, it was a side hustle in the beginning.
And when that happened, when people were like, "Hey, cook us some meals," were you like, this seems overwhelming? Or were you just like, this is exactly where I should be?
The beginning was overwhelming because this is before Excel and AI. I manually wrote down each person's name and then would have a checklist of if they still owed me money, what orders they got. And then I would keep separate their results and kind of their tracking and pictures. And
the concept then of 1% Fitness Kitchen is, you're not just doing meal. It's not just meal prep. I mean, meal prep is kind of the foundation of it, but it's like lifestyle change, health for individuals who are feeling like there's a better way. Is that fair? Is that how you would describe it? Because we like there's lots of meal prep. I mean, there's lots of meal prep companies, but the only thing I ever hear about meal prep is how easy it is to make a meal, right? Like, hey, pop it in the toaster and 15 minutes later, ding, you have this hot meal and it's all fresh and it's so good. But I don't ever hear like, this meal is part of a lifestyle program and we're going to help get you where fitness is going to be a foundation of this.
Yeah. So initially that's how it started. And not knowing, and I went through school, got multiple personal training certifications. And as the food progressed, I discovered, hey, I need to get more educated with nutrition and so the fitness aspect or that side kind of took a back seat for about, I'd say 4 to 5 years. And then
as you were getting the nutrition side dialed.
Yep. And then discovered, hey, we're going to start running 8-week challenges so we can take and implement both the fitness and the tracking and then also the food. And so we started calibrating the food based on, and that's definitely not scalable, but we started calibrating the food based on what the person's need was.
Oh, yeah.
And scalability, as you grow, there's that interface where it's like, hey, I'm face-to-face meeting with every single customer every single time. I know them by first name. I could look at them and I could tell them, what their progress was. And as I grew, my hands-on ability kind of went to the side. But I love people and I loved the connection. And so trying to discover a way to have both worlds and have both succeed, we implemented the 8-week transformation challenge. So once a year, typically around January when everybody's new year, new you,
Yes.
we'll do a
All the
challenge.
resolutions. Gotcha. And do you do challenges throughout the year, or does it start?
Typically around January.
Gotcha. And in your experience, okay, so now you have all of the physical side. Like you've trained yourself, you've taken courses, fitness certification stuff. Now you're getting the nutritional side dialed in, and it's a great combination because anybody who's ever said, I want to get fit, I think nutrition is the hardest part. Nobody understands it. Like nobody gets it, especially for, just guy off the street. And you hear there's so many different things that you can read, look up, and, you shouldn't eat, no bread, no sugar, no carbs, only meat, or it's the other, all plant-based, or it's like, there's so much material. Like, it's really hard to dial it in. The easy thing, or I would say easier thing, is like, I'm going to go to the gym. Like, I can go to the gym. There's a bunch of different workouts. This is the one I like. I think this one feels right. I can do that. Spend 45 minutes, an hour in there. It feels good, all the stuff. But then you get home and you're like, I worked out really hard. I'm going to have a cupcake, It's like, so dialing in, I think the nutritional part of it is critical. If someone were to ask you, like me, is it physical activity or is it nutrition? Which is the most important for total fitness, overall fitness? How would you answer that?
I'd go 80-20, 80% what you consume and 20% the output.
I think that's so true.
Because you can't out train a bad diet, but at the same time, there's so much content out there. Cabbage soup diet, keto,
carnivore,
it's endless.
Caveman, and they all sound really cool. What was Body for Life? Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
Body for Life was a thing for a while. I think it made a comeback too. And okay, so what did you learn? What has been the basis? What's the foundation of your nutritional program? Why does it work?
So I'm a numbers guy, and if you can track it, you can change it. It's deficit versus surplus. So if you have a surplus, you're going to gain. If you have a deficit, you're going to lose. However, when you look at like your cabbage soup diets or these massive starvation diets where you're starving yourself, you have what's called your basal metabolic rate.
Yeah.
That's just what you burn existing. My thing is I will never feed anybody underneath that basal metabolic rate. Where you create the lofts is in that deficit between total consumption and total output. I find a nice place right in between there where they have enough to still gain muscle, but also they are in a big enough deficit from their total burn to lose fat. The biggest thing that I protect is muscle mass. There's so many different functions, whether it's bone density, longevity. There's a lot of studies that are done around the more muscle mass you have, the higher quality of life you have, and the longer you will live. And so above and beyond everything, like the goal is to maintain muscle.
So how much, because muscle weighs a lot more than fat, how much do you pay attention to weight?
Not a lot. More of it. And I disregard BMI or body mass index. And I'm offended by it because it categorizes me as obese.
Me too.
Yeah, it's unfair.
But maybe I am. Don't tell me if I am. I'll start to feel really bad about myself. But it's true because the more muscle mass, the more weight. And then on that dang BMI, it's like, what? You fit in that obese category.
Yeah, so I fully disregard BMI. And the main focus is what is your body fat percentage or how much muscle do you have? And different people, depending on your frame or different body type, you're going to carry muscle, you're going to carry fat differently. When I was going through school, I remember like one of the first things that blew my mind is there was a super, super skinny guy His diet was Doritos and Mountain Dew.
Yeah. Yeah. We all know that guy.
Yeah. And I looked at him like, man, he's going to have a low body fat. And in school, they required us to pinch over 100 people throughout that semester. And prior to pinching them, you had to write a projection or what you thought their body fat percentage was going to be.
So you were like, he's like 10.
No, and he was around the 45 range.
Shh.
Yeah.
No.
And soaking wet, who's maybe 160 pounds. Yeah.
Wow.
And it blew my mind. I was like, okay, concept completely blown.
And so is that what your program focuses on now? Is it, and that you help educate people in that way? Well, I guess I want to say replacing body fat with muscle. Concern about muscle. What would you call it? Density, muscle retention. Yeah.
Or percentage. That's the biggest indicator, is what is the percentage. So the tools that I use in InBody Scanner, they say you want to have a D curve. So you want muscle, and their formulas are a little bit different than here's your pounds of fat, here's your pounds of muscle, here's your pounds of weight, right? Mm-hmm. What you look for is you always want muscle to be leading in regards to amount or how much you have on your body. At a resting state, the more muscle mass you have, the more calories you burn.
Yeah, right. Well, you know what? You brought some samples for us.
I did.
Which I can't wait. I took the meatloaf.
Yeah.
But you know what? I love meatloaf, by the way. It's like it's like there's some nostalgia associated. Like my mom used to make meatloaf. No, I don't think people make meatloaf anymore.
You don't see it
has
anymore.
Such a bad name, but it's
that or goulash.
I love goulash. One of my grandparents used to love goulash. That's funny. So you brought us these meals, and I took the meatloaf. I'm super excited about that. It looks like it's very easy to prepare. But here's what I noticed in the meatloaf. And the reason I took it is because it had this thing in it that I'm not supposed to eat, apparently. But I think there's mashed potatoes in there.
There is.
I can't eat mashed potatoes. That's not an allowable thing, is it? That's a starch, right? That's going to just convert into
glycogen.
Yeah.
So if you don't use it, or if you don't, so that people that, so when keto came around, if you are not active, the ketogenic diet will help you lose fat, but you'll also lose muscle. So calories in, calories out, whatever you burn. So I really pay no attention to, like, people think carbohydrates are bad. Carbohydrates are the main force in growth or hypertrophy or growth of muscle. You absolutely have to have that. So as I've went through all the many years of, testing people and running them through different protocols, I don't stick to one specific program. It's adaptable based on the individual, their lifestyle. And if you want carbs, you should be able to have carbs. A diet where you're restricting and limiting what you can eat, limiting the quantity is fine, but the spice of life is having variety and being able to experience things. So oftentimes I'll recommend, hey, after you've consumed these carbs, if you're going to be stationary and not move, probably don't consume them. But if you actually have the ability to go out and move and keep things moving, then it shouldn't be an issue for you.
Gotcha. Interesting. So how do you manufacture your menu so that you can respond or are responsive to the greatest number of people as possible? You're not making individual meals for individuals. I mean, you can't. You can't run a business like that. But so is there a specific program that you've created or that you use so that there is broad appeal in your meal plans for your fitness challenges?
Yeah. So initially we started at 6 weeks. We shifted it to 8 weeks, but the same protocol that I run on that 8-week program, I'll offer free of cost to anybody that gets the food. because I want to show that what they're doing actually has results. And so it's basically a calculation of calories in, calories out, total burn. And as long as you are inside of that window, so up top, you're going to have total output for the day or total burn. And then you're going to have total intake for the day, right? And if the goal is fat loss, muscle gain, you're going to be somewhere right in between there. Yeah. Now, I don't hit it 100% of the time, but the beauty is I have a tool if the people are local. And that's kind of where, when you get into large scale business, not being able to have access to them one-on-one, that hinders things. But we'll share, hey, here's the protocol. If you have resource or ability to get to one of the machines, you can send me the data, we'll review it, and then track it. And then I say, hey, change one thing, change the amount of macronutrients, drop your protein from 45% to 40%, bump your carbs up by 5%, see what the outcome from that is. And because not all bodies are alike, the outcome from each one's going to be different. And then it's just, how do I adapt, or how do I program or change based on whatever the result was?
Yeah. So, so if you're taking someone like that and you're saying, hey, you need to bump up your protein, you need to diminish this a little bit, you have meals within that fit in those scenarios. So you could say, hey, we need to bump up your protein a little bit. We're going to diminish some of this other stuff. These are a few meals that work in that segment.
Yeah. So wildly enough, we still have full customization. So somebody can hop on the website.
Oh,
but that one's not, the downside is that one is not scalable.
Yeah. As a business.
Yeah. And so that still exists, because we want to be able to offer that. But we also have bulks or a la carte where somebody could come in. And that was kind of our introduction of that program to mitigate the workload of the full customs. And so the fit side, which has tons of variety, 16 different menu items each week, 8 rotating menus, so tons of different options. Those are basically the foundation or the bones for the program that I recommend to somebody. So let's say, for example, the medium portion on the fit plan, the meals range from 450 to 550 calories.
And what does that mean, medium?
Just the medium portion. So we got a high calorie, medium calorie, and then a GLP portion. Let's say we do the medium portion, that's 450 to 550. The person, their basal metabolic rate, let's just say it's 1400. Between the two meals, let's say one meal's 550, the other's 450, and they fluctuate. So that's 1,000 calories just from the meals. Now assume they do a protein shake, they do a snack, beef jerky, whatever. I have them track those things in a MyFitnessPal or a different tool. And they kind of fine tune and get to that caloric recommendation on their end. I just give them the foundation.
Gotcha. Okay. So let's just walk through. If I go onto the website, is that the best way to do it? Just go online? Okay. So I hit the website, which is what?
1%fit.com.
Okay.
With the number one.
With the number one, 1%fit.com. Okay. I go hit the website and I'm like, I need to get fit and I just want to lean out a little bit. What does that process look like?
So if you're local, you would theoretically put in your order online. And then when you come in to pick up, you have the ability to scan. We'll put you on the scanner, spend about 15, 20 minutes. Commonly it's about 30 because I like talking. But we'll run through that, get the results. And then 2 to 3 weeks down the road, when they come in to pick up their next order, they'll come in and scan again. And then the KPIs are the metrics that I'm judging based on to see if they're heading in the right direction. Muscle mass, fat mass, body fat percentage, basal metabolic rate. And if, let's say, for example, their muscles going up, their fat's going down, weight's also going down because they're losing more fat than the muscle they're gaining, that's a mega win. Like that's the gold standard. on the other end, say, for example, somebody's losing more than 3 pounds of fat per 10 pounds of 3 pounds of muscle per 10 pounds of fat, then I kind of pump the brakes and say, okay, and this is contingent based on an individual. If they have a lot more to lose and they're losing 3 pounds of muscle per 10 pounds of fat, we'll pump the brakes and we'll make adjustments, but it's not the end of the world. Now, if somebody only has 10 pounds of fat to lose and they've lost 2 pounds of muscle in that pursuit, then we pump the brakes at like 1.5 and say, okay, we're bumping your protein up and we'll make these adjustments. And there's so many things that you can adjust, whether it's the time that you're eating, fasting, the macronutritional ratios. There are so many different things that you can change. And we have the luxury of saying, okay, we've tried this, that didn't work. Tried this didn't work. The biggest thing that stumps me is when somebody has hormonal issues, whether their testosterone's low, their cortisol's high, there's something off their thyroid that I don't have the ability to control through food manipulation. And that's when I refer out to a partner. So if I see somebody that is stagnant and I can't get them to move the needle and we've tried everything, the next resource is, okay, is it something that's medical?
Gotcha. Are you making recommendations on supplementation?
Some.
But that could be part of the program.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. And I have some favorites, and happily a lot of the favorites are Utah based brands. But yeah, I'll say, hey, and we have semi partnerships with a lot of these like unspoken partnerships where I'll refer them, just because the things that I use in my life, protein powders, the different supplements, if I've liked them and I try them, and I've had a handful of companies approach me and say, hey, sell my product. My response is, hey, this is going to my family, my friends, and people.
Right.
Even if I'm going to make money on it, like, you don't compromise integrity to make a buck.
Generally, is there a healthy percentage of fat a person should carry? And how does that differ between men and women? So again, it's body type, lifestyle will play a huge into that. And then age. Yeah. Age is another big part of that. So for men, I believe like 12 to 18 is kind of the range. And then females, naturally, because they reproduce, they have a higher fat content. And so let's say 12 is on the low end. Like men, when they get to 6, because females, when you get way too low, and hormonal issues and mayhem. Yeah, right. I don't want that. One more thing about the business. Are you scaling this? What are the plans? What does the future look like? Because you've been in this for a long time.
I have.
You've been in this for a long time. 14-ish years?
Yeah, almost 14 years.
14 years. Okay. So tell me what you would like to see this become as you continue to, I mean, you're not looking at moving along. You're just continuing to build this business. What does the future look like? So
I've spread myself into a handful of different things. I had mentioned prior when we were talking that I started in my Sandy location, 2013, bought it in 2016, and then moved out to another location so we could ship nationwide. I also have an incubation company. And so I look at it and a food business incubation. And so I look at it and I'm like, okay, I enjoy doing both. But I've, for the most part, have been a one-man band in regards to like the executive team inside of 1% Fitness. And that has stunted my growth, and some other things that I've gone through in business over the last handful of years that have prevented the growth and distracted me. And so for 1% Fitness, like actively looking for strategic partnerships that can help get it to the next level a little bit quicker. Because
you're stretched pretty thin.
And then also massively impatient. because I know the value and the impact that 1% fitness can have.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm shortchanging or not doing all that I can to bring the product to the people.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Tell me about the success rate. Like, I'm almost thinking about this like rehab. Like, there are people who say, yeah, I want to be fit. I want to be a little more lean. I'd like to drop some, body fat percentage, and I'm signing up. And I'm just guessing that there are people who sign up and they jump in and they've decided this is my inflection point. And 8 weeks later or 16 weeks later or whatever it is, lower body fat, higher muscle mass, better health. And then I'm guessing there are people who say the same thing. Like, I'm jumping in. I want to be more fit. And then there's the lack of commitment or follow through. So I'm guessing you deal with both of those scenarios. It's like, it feels kind of like rehab.
It is. Well, so as I went through rehab, one of my counselors had weight issues.
Uh-huh.
And for me, food is a substance, right? The only downside is drugs you don't have to live. Food you have to live. People gather and celebrate around drugs. Some do. Some people celebrate and gather around food. And we'll categorize alcohol in that same realm, right? As drugs. But in order to exist, you have to have food. And so I've seen, folks come in with the greatest intention. And 3 weeks later, they come back in and the scale's up and they get, crushed. And they're like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore, and go down that negative loop. And so comparably, as I went through treatment, one of the counselors, he was talking to me about my substance, and we connected food as almost being like a drug because it comforts. It's excitement, right? Like there's a lot of things that are built around food. And so it's difficult when somebody comes in with a food issue to help them recover because it's everywhere. And if you go to a family dinner, Thanksgiving, grandma, hey, eat this. And, and if you say no, she's almost offended.
It's offensive.
Yeah,
for sure.
You're like, well, I don't like cake, but just eat this cake.
Try it. I made it just for you.
Yeah. So yeah, I like it has a lot of similarities.
Yeah. Can you tell us about your greatest success story?
Oh man. Inside of business?
Yeah.
I would say just staying prevalent and existing through COVID and through all of the different trials that I've been through as a business owner, just still existing as a company. Because part two is that the incubation kitchen that I was telling you about.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of companies come in, food trucks, bakers, whatever, and the success rate within a food company is very, very, very low. Yeah.
Yeah, super low. So we talked a little bit offline about the concept of grit, and I think there's a recurring theme on this podcast about grit, especially for entrepreneurs, and just the ability to overcome obstacles and to manage complexity and difficult things. It seems like just too easy to say your life experience, you had to develop that. You had to develop that ability to overcome.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah. I'd like to say it's a strength, but at the same time, a weakness. Because I like the commitment and the lack of allowing to let go of things that don't serve you. It's difficult, right? Because I've committed to it. I've got the grit. I'm going to do it. And even though it's costing you something, whether it's sanity, peace, serenity, it's costing you something, but it's oftentimes so hard-headed where it's like, hey, I don't want to appear as a failure. So I'm going to keep giving into it, even though that it is draining me.
Yeah.
So I think it's a power, like a superhuman power, but also, a massive negative or something that's, it consumes.
You must find yourself in stressful situations, anxious situation. I mean, family, running a business, having this incubator. I know that outside of those things, you've had other conflict in your life that you've had to deal with. Are you ever concerned about, or how do you avoid a relapse, falling back into a previous lifestyle?
It's a struggle. It's a daily battle. A lot of it, like I would say the majority of it is focused around my kids and my family. Like that is the driving force. 'Cause my family deserves better. Naturally, I have an addictive personality, and so does my kids do as well. And you can see it within screens or different things, because we're looking for that pleasure. And so my biggest driver is making sure that they don't have to, like, I don't ever want to see my kid in an institution. That place sucks. And it, like, once you enter it, you're like, eternally changed. Like it is hard to go inside of that environment. And especially if you go into like prisons, I haven't been, thankfully, but when you go in there, the lifestyle that you have to project in there, like I'm hard, like don't mess with me. Like you have to be stern and like almost a different person. And when you come out, like, you have to disconnect from that person and identify who you actually want to be.
It sounds like you've just found a foundation, like, and that just helps to keep you grounded. How important is that for you, in your personal life and in your business life?
It's far from perfect. It's a daily work, right? It's doing the things or the activities / functions that identify who I am, who I want to be. Habits. That was the word I was looking for.
Yeah. So do you have, like, what are your things? Do you have a daily routine, or are there habits that you rely on to keep you grounded, to keep you moving forward, to keep you focused on family and faith and your business? And bare knuckle, just doing, like, there's a lot of places that I lack and places I know I could do better, but there's periods of time where it's just white knuckling it and just being like, okay, I'm not reading, I'm not praying, I'm not doing the activities. And even when things get mega stressful, the gym, back to fitness. When those things start to fall away and I recognize that I'm starting to fall back into those habits, I have to give myself a check. And luckily I have the wife who's the best at observing and making sure. And the second I start to come out of line, she's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And naturally then I become defensive where I'm like, wait,
me? No, not me. And so I think it's clear communication around that, where it's like, hey, who am I? What am I being? And does this align with who I say I want to be?
Yeah. Okay. So you've brought up your wife. You brought up your wife again. You brought your wife up previously, and two completely different backgrounds. Sounds like it. Yeah. It sounds like two completely different backgrounds. So how did that whole thing come together?
So there was a program called Addict to Athlete that's out of Utah County. And the whole concept, like Alcoholics Anonymous, is you identify as an alcoholic and you do things to prevent a relapse. Whereas Addict to Athlete, it is you no longer identify as an addict. You identify as an athlete. And part of that is, running activity and moving in community. the program, the gentleman's name is Blue, which really weird connections. In latter words, he's like a brother to me in a really different way. My mom ended up dating his father, who he was like had never spoke to. And he also lived in the same neighborhood as I did. Later, he moved into that neighborhood. But their whole concept is erase and replace. You don't have to identify as an addict for the rest of your life, because as soon as you put a label on yourself, well, then that's what you are again. And that's the things that you're going to do, right? A can opener is a can opener. As long as it's called a can opener, is only a can opener. Yeah. But if you were in a place where you didn't have something hard to use as a hammer and you needed to use a can opener as a hammer, it would function as a hammer. Not a great hammer, but it would work. But
a hammer nonetheless. What did you just say that? Erase and replace? Mm-hmm. It's super interesting. It's super interesting concept. This Stoic philosopher, I'm going to mess it up. I want to say it was Epictetus, but I can't remember if that was true. But said, or maybe, I don't know. It was one of the Stoic philosophers said, it's not the event that's the problem. It's your perception of the event. It's how you think about it. That's the problem. And so if you think about the event one way, then it's an issue. If you think about the event as non-consequential, then it's not. It's the way you perceive it. So that sounds very much like that kind of concept. And so you just determined nope, it's not. I'm not an addict. I'm an athlete. That's how I'm going to perceive myself. That's how I'm going to live my existence. That's fascinating. Are there numbers what is the success rate in something like that? I mean, it's got to be phenomenal.
It's definitely better than the other ones. I don't know those numbers, but from observation, watching the people inside of that program compared to other programs, because of the community and closeness, they support each other. They do a lot of activities together that are not just sitting in a room complaining about your addiction and drinking coffee. And because that was kind of my disconnect from Alcoholics Anonymous, which the program's amazing. It had a big contribution to saving my life, but we all evolve. And inevitably I was just okay, I'm sitting in a room with a bunch of people complaining about our problems. And there's a lot of solution in there. And when you're looking at the problem, it gives you insight to what the solution is. Mm-hmm. But there was a point in time where I was just okay, there's got to be more than this.
Yeah. You need a step. You need another step.
Yep.
So now this is still leading down the path to your wife. How did we get there?
Oh, so Addicts to Athlete. Yeah. One of the other members in there was a childhood friend. Her name was Audrey. She was friends with Samantha. And she set me up on a date randomly. And we met first time. And we both disliked Jillian Michaels, the old trainer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we kind of...
Great.
Yeah, she was... And so that was kind of the humorous part. And we started dating and...
Wait, that was the connection?
Yeah. Jillian Michaels.
But your wife wasn't in that world,
no.
So did you have to overcome any obstacles in that scenario? I mean, I'm sure there were a lot of questions.
Yeah, there's not a lot of understanding because she hasn't experienced it firsthand. Mm-hmm. And so when relapses would occur, she'd be like, just don't do it. It's simple.
Right.
And then I would, spiral into these are the reasons and then excuses. And it's been a blessing because yin and yang, you have to have energies that support one another. Mm-hmm. And her personality type and my personality type go really well together. And the places where, and again, parenting, right? Parenting 101. She's the hammer right now. She's the hammer and I'm the good guy, the nice guy. And we both wear the hats really well.
Gotcha. Well, it's a great story, and I'm really interested to start trying out the food and checking out the program. And where else can people find you? Where can they to learn more about what you're doing and how to get involved?
The old Instagram with 1% fitness there. Then our website. And then my favorite is just coming into the store.
In Lehigh?
Yep.
And if you were going to counsel somebody who's thinking that, oh yeah, I want to be fit. I want to lose some body fat percentage. I want to gain some muscle mass. How would you counsel them? What would you tell them before starting a program?
Find something that you enjoy doing. Find things that you enjoy eating. Because if it's like a punishment, we don't respond well with punishment, right? We just find ways to deviate from getting the punishment, right? Whether it's manipulation, but commonly we don't want to change the behavior. So finding things that you enjoy through fitness, how you can gather your family and do it as a group. It's like I frequently walk, and we just got a new puppy. I'm a doodle dad, golden doodle dad. Never thought I'd be one of those. But I mean, we get to drag her, and this is also beneficial because then you also get the kids off the screen. But and she doesn't love walking in the cold. The wife doesn't, Samantha. And so we got a treadmill in the basement now, and I try to gather together and go out and do the activities together. Yeah. Cause again, community. A lot of people do the CrossFit because there's a massive CrossFit community.
Yeah.
So finding things that you enjoy, that's like the biggest portion of it. Because if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to do it.
That's exactly right. Or you have to find joy in it somehow, whatever it is. Okay. This may be the most important question I asked you today. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
When you're trying to maybe drop a few pounds or drop some, I'm going to try and get away from the weight fascination because I think you're exactly right. Okay. So if you're trying to lose some body fat mass, how do you manage the hunger if you're working in a deficit?
Egg whites are my cheat code. Have you ever had a Ninja Creamy?
No, but I just got the machine.
Okay. I'll share it when, offline. I'll share with you a couple of my favorite recipes, but they are lifesavers. So you get the benefit of ice cream.
This is what I need.
Oh, it's the best. Because you still get the pleasure of the cold creamy ice cream, but it's healthy. So egg whites, mega cheat code. And when I tell every client that comes in, I say egg whites, and they freeze up a little bit, but you can't taste it. So I'll do egg whites, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, protein powder, Clean Simple Eats protein powder. It's the best. They're really good.
And they, by the way, Utah company, absolutely. And they're at my local Harmon's grocery store. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'll take those, and then I'll also put a little bit of Oreos, maybe 2 to 3 Oreos in a full thing. And then freeze it. And wildly enough, my daughter, my 4-year-old, who hates anything healthy, she will not eat meat to save her life. I'll pull out the Biscoff cookies and use them as a spoon. So maybe you're eating 2 cookies total.
But you're
using it as a spoon. And then by the time it's done, it's soggy and tasty like you dipped it.
Yeah. Oh. Okay, so do you have that recipe somewhere? I mean, we're going to drive a lot of traffic here because I think there's everyone who listens to this is going to be like, yeah, how do you stay away from the hunger thing? Maybe you just have to have, there is something to be said for having a little bit of grit in that scenario too. You just have to have a little willpower, but willpower is hard. Willpower can be really hard. And it depends on things like whatever's happening in the day. Maybe it's a great day. Everything's going right. And then willpower's pretty manageable. I got this. But then, you have a bad meeting. Your boss yells at you. You get a flat tire, whatever it is, there's some stressor into your life, and willpower is it's gone. It's out the window. And then you're reaching for not just a couple Oreos. You got the whole bag going with some ice cream and all the stuff. So maybe just a little bit of grit is helpful there too.
And I think for me, like finding and back to substance, if you can find a way to, because there's a small window of time where you have to make that decision. And once you make that decision and you've got past it, it's now easier, right? So
yes,
it's that initial.
It's so true. It's so true. The initial is like, it hits you hard. And then if you can get past that, that's exactly right. It is a lot easier to just manage that.
To find it.
That's great.
In rehab, they used to have us wear like rubber bands.
Uh-huh.
And so when that thought came up, you'd snap back to reality.
Oh.
And
I like that.
It changes the thought, and then it reminds you, like, there's a couple of tattoos I have on me that are specific reminders of things that I don't want. And so when I see them or have that thought, I look and I say, okay.
Well, the one you just said is fantastic. Snap back to reality. I mean, sometimes you just need to
that little jump
knock
start.
Yourself a little bit. Yeah, a little jump start. Oh man, this has been so great. I really appreciate you coming in. It's fascinating stuff. It's a great story. And sitting here with you the way you look today, I don't think nobody would know all of the trauma that you've had in your life. So it's a great motivational story. Congratulations for achieving all you've done so far. And I mean, just great things for you in the future. Good luck. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Thanks. Robert Molling, 1% Fitness Kitchen is right there on his shirt. Do you have gear? Like, can people go and buy some gear and some stuff in the store?
We used to. Now I'm the main. This is like the only shirt I own. Yeah, this is the only shirt I own.
Gotcha. Okay. Last question. Favorite exercise in the gym?
Oh, man. Weighted pull-up. Weighted pull-up.
You know what? Okay. I have a terrible relationship with pull-ups. And you know, of all the most fit people I know, if I ask that question, that's always the answer. You know what I need to do?
Pull-ups?
Yeah. I just need to change my perception, my perspective on pull-ups. I need to make it a thing I love, not a thing I despise. So when I go in the gym and I see that's on the list of things I have to do, I just have to I can't wait to get to pull-ups.
Put a cookie at the top of the pull-up machine, and each time you get up to the top, you get a nibble.
I'm going to get that creamy recipe, and that's what I'm doing next. Robert, thank you. Thanks for coming. I hope you'll come back and visit us sometime. We'll check in on you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Take care. Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Know Your Shit podcast presented by eHub. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review.